When the image of this bold, fearless African man, Kenyan politician, a doctor by training, pops up on your screen, what comes to your mind? Is it about how outspoken he is in the parliament?
Speaker, sir, we have to stop it because without sex, none of us would be in this house. We are products of sex.
Is it about bullfighting? Is it about when he carried stones when there was a demonstrations once a time? Let's dive in what qualifies Honorable Bonny Khalwale as a true African man and a leader, and as well as king of Mulembe Nation. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is your man Amimo, and welcome to another video here. If it is your first time on our video, subscribe, like and share, and let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be talking about pure and true African man. And the man we are talking about today is none other than the Honorable Senator Dr. Bonny Khalwale. He has been in politics for quite some time, and today is a very good time to talk about him. And before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take this opportunity to send our special condolences to our Honorable Senator of Kakamega, Honorable Bonny Khalwale, for the demise of his lovely wife. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really tough, but we pray God that everything will go on as usual. Subscribe, guys, and let's get into the story. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a pure identity that of an African man and this modernized or westernized man versions that we have nowadays. So what is the difference between a westernized man and a pure African man? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to dig deep into the story of Honorable none other than Senator Bonny Khalwale. A brief history of his life. He's a qualified gynae medic. That means he's specialized in women, and is a father, is a grandpa, and things like that. But what is interesting is the way he has organized his family. He's blessed with 4 women or 3. The first woman is deceased. May her soul rest in peace. The second one now is deceased. May her soul rest in peace. But how has our Honorable Senator organized his family? Ladies and gentlemen, in the ancient times when you were a king, let's take an example of Wanga Kingdom, we have Buganda Kingdom and things like that. A king was expected to have several wives, and that was a gesture that you can take care of the people. And nowadays, even getting one wife and taking care of her is very expensive and very tiresome. But back in days, for you to qualify to be a king or something like that, you are to have several wives and taking care of them 100%. Now, that is the ancient time, and in the ancient time, every wife was to be built a house separately, but in the same compound. Let's say you have 5 wives, your compound should be big, and their houses should be built in the compound. And apart from that, there was a house for the king. No woman was allowed to go to that kingdom, to that house. We can call it a parliament, because there is where decisions are made and implementation of things are done. Subscribe, like, and share, guys, as we continue listening to this beautiful African story. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 5 wives were to have their own homes, and the king was to have his own home. You know, and that's what maybe nowadays men appear to be very weak, because in the ancient time there was a day for each house. Today I'll sleep here, tomorrow I'll spend my night there, and there is a day that the king will not attend to any woman, especially when they are going for war. Or they're going to make decision over something. So on that day, the king was expected to sleep on his home. That's why I said, if a king had 5 wives, he was supposed to have 6 houses, 5 for the wives and 1 for him alone. Only children of the king were supposed to go to the palace. That is the ancient time, the Wanga, the Buganda kingdom, the African kingdoms that existed at the time. Now let's come back to our honorable Senator Bonny Khalwale. Bonny Khalwale is blessed with wives, and in the same compound, it's just a replica of Wanga kingdom, because in the same compound, each wife has a house, and the king himself has his own house. Let's look at this video.
So guys, this is a home to Kakamega Senator Bonny Khalwale. We've come here to say sorry. He has lost his beloved wife, one of the wives. So I want to show you the true definition of a lawyer king, or a lawyer man. So this is a house for one of the wives. Okay, that is the house for one of the wives, and there is there is another house for another wife, and there is another house for another wife, and there another house for another wife. Okay, and then there lives the king. The king stays there. So there is the palace where the king stays, and wife is welcomed inside, and he is free to go into one of the houses and sleep in one of the houses that he wishes to sleep that day and eat. So that is a true definition of a king or a man in lawyer land.
I hope you have really understood what I'm saying. So the king must have his own house, a place where decisions are made, rules are made, where is a place for meditation, a very quiet place. So when the king does not want to attend to any of his wife, he was expected to come and sleep in his own palace, ladies and gentlemen. And the other thing that is qualifying our senator to be a king is the number of kids that our honorable has. He has 17 confirmed. They say confirmed. The number of kids that an pure African man has is always determined when the man dies. When the man dies is when people will come, the women he has given birth with will come up to claim for inheritance. That is the exact time that the man is said to have a certain number of women.
The wives I have are specific, and they are as follows. One, Adelaide Khalwale, who died 5 years ago, is my first wife. Two, Josephine Khalwale. I beg your pardon. Wife number one is Adelaide Khalwale, who died 5 years ago. She's the mother of my first 3 children. All copyrights of mine, no doubt about their paternity. Josephine Khalwale, my second wife, she's the mother of 3 of my children. One who has completed university, the other 2 still at the university. All copyrights, there's been no complaint about their paternity. 3, Gloria Khalwale, who is the mother of 8 of my children. These 8, some are at the university, others are in lower levels of education. They are all my copyrights. They have never had their paternity in doubt. And finally, Diana Khalwale, mother of 3, all of them in lower levels of education. The 3 children are my copyrights.
But otherwise, that's what we say, the confirmed number of kids or children that our honorable has is 17 from 3 different wives. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we say with Africanism, you understand? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how things were done at the time. And Bonny Khalwale is a pure African man. From his deeds, is very strict, very outspoken. Everybody knows this man. And there is one saying that when he was an MP, member of parliament at the time, when he was saying Kimunya must go, that's what popularized our honorable senator. Let's look at it, this.
Stop corruption at the treasury, Kimunya must go. To end impunity in this country, Kimunya must go. To repossess the Hotel Grand Regency, Kimunya must go. I wish.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is your man Amir Mo. If it is your first time on my videos, subscribe, like, and share. And let's keep moving. Let's keep fighting, my kings. And let's aim at 1,000 subscribers, and may God bless you. Otherwise, have a good day, have a good night, and have a good evening, depending on the time zone and the time you're watching our videos. Until next time, bye-bye.